What's going on, guys? Vulkan here, and today's video has some big news for those Torchlight fans out there. So Torchlight 3 has officially revealed their endgame, and this endgame is beyond map works and just rerunning the game on harder difficulties. So originally the devs wanted endgame to be something like map works, endless dungeons, and new game plus, but community feedback was basically, guys, we don't just want to do map works. Endgame better not just be map works on map works on map works. So the devs took a step back and they said, you know what? We want to create an activity that players can play forever. They can improve at, they can farm for cool loot, they can show off accomplishments, and really it'd be a one-stop shop for all things endgame. And this is where they landed on the dungeon. Now, after you clear Act 3, a new item will be available in your fort that summons an NPC named Fazir. For those of you who played Torchlight 2, Fazir might sound familiar. It's Fazir Shah, who is a genie, all-powerful genie, that will create a randomized series of dungeons that become more and more difficult the deeper you go. Now, the way this works is Fazir will dish out a hand of cards. These all represent different modifiers, things like enemy type, elements, buffs, debuffs, all of those things to overcome in order to defeat the boss and get your loot. So there's going to be a lot of pick your poison style choices, I'm assuming. You can't just go through and pick all the easy ones, then just go smash it out for some loot. I'm assuming there's going to be something like that that's going to make it more difficult. But after you've selected your hand, you begin your dungeon series. Now, at certain intervals, you're going to need to beat a boss battle in order to save your progress. And that is where things get interesting. Because if you die, you restart at your last checkpoint. So there's some roguelite style gameplay in here. You have to fight your way to the boss battle, overcome the boss battle. At that point, you can plant your flag and say, boom, this is where I'm starting next time. If you die, sorry about it, you're restarting the entire process back to your last checkpoint, which who knows if that's 5 dungeons, 3 dungeons, 1 dungeon, we don't know, but that's something that we need to go figure out. This also begs the question, can you just die to the boss and then speed farm other areas for extra loot? Because we've seen this in other games where you get to the boss battle, you die to the boss, and then it puts you in a place where you can basically speed farm different zones, different areas in order to get your character up really quickly and maximize a certain percentage of magic find, loot find, all that type of stuff. So I'm assuming there's like going to be some sort of anti-exploit system in play here, or maybe not, and it's just whatever, go do whatever you want to do. But now the nice thing here, right, is that the dungeon is co-op. So you're going to be able to bring your friends with you, that way they can resurrect you if you die. They didn't mention anything about scaling, but at least they confirmed you can bring your friends with you. Now, after you kill the milestone boss, you'll actually have to pull a new set of cards to work through, and these are going to be more challenging than the previous set. I'm curious if it's going to be percentage-wise challenging, like 10% chance for you to, take damage, or 30% chance for you to take damage, that type of stuff. Now, from a reward standpoint, all of the quests, champions, bosses, all of this stuff that you clear, it's going to give you fame, so that's going to go towards your contracts that you have selected. Boss chests are going to be available for loot. You're going to have additional drops off trash mobs. So all of those things are going to be available with you. Now, before we move into the massive relic overhaul, what do you guys think of the new endgame? Is this something that you would play? Do you think the small taste of roguelite will sit well with the community? Definitely curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this one. So let's move into relics. Now, relics overall, these things are getting a massive rework due to the fact that most people weren't happy with the way they worked. And I would agree. I mean, I felt relics were much weaker than they were advertised or even expected to be. These items were supposed to be these powerful and unique parts of your build, something to be building around the core, kind of the center pillar of what you're doing. But the problem here is relic abilities weren't powerful, right? They were weak, they didn't do a ton of damage, they didn't really have great synergy, they had a moderately long cooldown, even if you invest points into reduced cooldown, and the abilities themselves weren't powerful enough to trump your rotational abilities that you pick up from your class skill tree. So they weren't used often because they were competing for a hotbar slot. And unfortunately, they lost most of the time. So all of this really caused people to look at relics as an afterthought and just try to go, okay, which relic provides the best passive? that I could use. Maybe it's Bane for the poison. Maybe it's Electrode for the shock. Those are the type of basically decisions that were being made, and that's not what the devs wanted. So all of this is going to be changing, right? They weren't ready to reveal all of the details yet, but we do know a few things. One, relics will be something you choose when making your character. They're going to be core and central to your character design, and they're going to be locked. So no more switching relics or anything like that. You can't change it once you choose it. It's there and it's locked in. Number two, each relic is going to lean heavily into its own strategy, whether that's summoning, healing, crowd control, random damage, consistent damage. All of these things are going to come into play. So if you choose a specific relic, it's going to do that specific thing very, very well. Number three, each relic is going to be reimagined with updated new skills, so brand new skills coming to these relics, and reworked old skills. So those are things that are going to be very interesting to see how they're going to win those hotbar slots that I was talking about earlier. These things are going to have to either be very powerful on a semi-long cooldown, kind of like a super ability, or they're going to have to be very build enabling with either a powerful ability with a long cooldown or something that's going to be core to your rotation. Number four, and this is going to be a big one for a lot of people, but there's going to be a complete wipe to accommodate all of this. So brace yourselves to re-level all of your characters again. I know the community was up in flames over that, but this is something that needs to happen. This is early access. This is not live, right? This is one of the things that will occur through early access. And if it's for the betterment of the game, I am totally fine re-leveling again with the brand new stuff that's available to us. Now, there is a little bit of confusion on, are we going to be getting relics first or are we going to be getting endgame first? Personally, I would really like to get relics first, endgame second. That way we're not doing endgame, experiencing all of that, loving it, and finally getting our characters in a place that we want them, and then we get completely wiped out and people get burnt out or leveling fatigue, and then they don't get the testing that they need. I think that they should really do the relic wipe, put relics in, then put endgame in. Now you have a true visage of what you're actually looking at when it comes to release. Now, this is all we know so far, but they also announced they're standing up a public test realm in order to test these new features before they release. So the PTR will be live next week, most likely July 14th, but we don't have a confirmed date. They just said next week. It's going to be US only at this time. Unfortunately, I'm sorry for everyone outside of the United States, but that's where we're sitting right now. So let me ask you guys, what do you guys think so far of the relic changes, things we know about? What do you guys think about the complete level wipe, and what do you guys think about the end game activities? I want to hear from you. Let's get to talking downstairs in the comment section below. But as always, this has been Vulkan. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I will talk to you guys next time.